Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. Visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. So today we're going to do, we're going to make one of these blade holders. Okay, so I mean, if you're a knife maker, you know there's certain times where you need to hold knives, especially hot ones. This one's not hot, but you know what I mean. So, you know, one of my favorite holders is it's a book, you know, like a light, nice, thick book or a catalog, something like that, where you just, something like this, where you just shove the blade in between the pages, and it doesn't really matter where you stick them, you know, it works like that. Or, you know, here's another one over here that you know, it works just the same. But obviously, the book knife holder isn't going to work on a blade that's, you know, that's red hot that you just got done forging. Or it's not going to work when you go to temper the knives, you know, when you go to stick them into the toaster. You know, there's just a whole bunch of times where you just need to hold hot knives. So, you know, I've got these all around the shop, but today we're going to make another one. So pretty much all this is a piece of C-channel. This particular one, and the one that we're going to make today, is out of a cross member for a mobile home. Long time ago, I was involved in tearing down some mobile homes. They were in a mobile home park, and they needed removed, and so pretty much the park was paying me and my company to tear those homes down in place and then carry them out in dumpsters. So, you know, so we ended up keeping, you know, like all the aluminum, all the copper, and quite a bit of the steel frame. A lot of that stuff we sold for salvage, and some of the stuff I kept just because, I mean, that's a nice piece of C-channel, you know, and this is, well, it was about 6 foot tall or a little bit taller. This stuff is about 1/8 of an inch thick in your wall, or the, you know, the actual metal is about 1/8 inch thick, you know, before they bent it around. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a mobile home cross member. You know, run to the salvage yard, and pretty much whatever kind of C-channel that they have, you know, is not, as long as it's not, you know, 1/4 inch thick, because that's going to make it too tough to bend, you know, to be able to bend these wings out and everything, and you'll be sitting there cutting it for, you know, a long time. So anyway, so you cut off a piece of that C-channel. It doesn't really matter how long it is. You know, that's a fist wide or so, something like that, maybe 4 inches across. Oh, and that's, so it's 4 inches across this way, and then this way, this is 3 inches. But like I said, it really doesn't matter, you know, just as long as it's some sort of a C-channel, right? Then you hold it up to your bandsaw, and you go ahead and you cut slots down it, okay? Suppose I take you to the, I already did this just so you wouldn't have to listen to me cut the bandsaw. So anyway, so we get our bandsaw here. You just hold it up in place like this, and then you just cut, and then you move over 1/4 or 1/2 inch or however far you want, and then cut, and then move over and you cut, and you move over and you cut, and you just cut the whole thing until, you know, you've got all these little cuts, and they're equally, you know, they're directly opposing each other. Now, if you don't have a bandsaw to be able to make those cuts, get a bandsaw, okay? I mean, besides your forge and your anvil and your grinder, you know, the bandsaw is about the next big ticket item that, you know, makes everything easier in your shop. If you don't have a bandsaw and you need to make one of these, you could do it with a hacksaw. You'd be there in a long time. You could use an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel. You know, just make your marks and kind of get set up to where, you know, you're falling straight down, you know, to kind of keep everything nice and straight. With those angle grinders and cutoff wheels, make sure you wear safety glasses or a full face shield, some heavy clothing, because those things come apart all the time. Anyway, so you make your cuts, you know, like that. Then comes the exciting part. You take yourself a pair of either needle nose vice grips or needle nose pliers. I suppose we could use the vice grip here. we'll adjust these down to where, you know, they're about the right. Okay, now just grab, you know, however far deep you go, and you should be able to do it by hand. You know, bend it to where it's straight across or so, something like that. I mean, like I said, this is 1/8 inch stock, so it shouldn't be too tough. The only tough part here is getting the jaws lined up. So you just bend those across like that, and then your knife falls in like that. You could, you know, like cut these little wings off, but they work pretty good as like little extenders, you know. So if you're working on like a long blade, like, you know, say a chef's knife or something, you know, it kind of helps steady it out a little bit. And then you just go through and you just bend every other one. I suppose you could count your cuts to make sure that you know, that by the time you got all the way down that you didn't have any leftover cuts. But honestly, I never do. I mean, this is one of those things that, you know, I mean, it's just going to make your life easier in the shop. I mean, I guess if you really have to have it really nice. Now see right there, I kind of bent the last, that's supposed to be an upright, and the corner of the vice grips caught it. So these vice grips might be getting a little bit wide for this. So we'll go to needle noses. Well, you should be able to still kind of see that. Yeah, here's one right here. So I ended up with an extra cut. You know, I could grind that off or just leave it. Honestly, I'm just going to leave the thing. So we'll just put this on the bench to make it a little bit quicker and easier. Now we can just kind of tweak these a little bit, kind of keep them sort of in line. I mean, not that it really matters all that much. There you go. Now we have something sitting up underneath the camera so you're not sitting level. So anyway, so now we have another knife blade holder. You can make them, I mean, I made this one with pretty wide cutouts, because my other ones, you know, this one's got some pretty wide cutouts, but I think that's the only one. The other one's got quite a bit narrower ones. And so I'll keep one of these up next to the forge. And then so that way when I'm done forging, or, you know, if somebody interrupts me or something like that, or if I'm just taking a break, whatever, you know, I can take that piece of stock and just lay it in there. And, you know, now it's edge up. You know, it's in a safe spot, so it's not going to, you know, fall out or anything, even if I'm running the power hammer next to it. And it just worked really good. Now, so if you're, and you can make these to whatever size you need them, okay? So let's say that you're not doing forged work. Let's say you're doing, you know, a whole bunch of paring knives, like, you know, let's say you're doing a whole bunch of paring knives. Well, paring knives are typically in 1/16 inch stock or less. You know, so obviously those kind of flop around in there a little bit. Okay, so make your cuts a little bit closer together. You know, you'll be able to get more slots in there, but then it'll hold it mostly straight up, you know, if that's what you're after. If you're working on a lot of chef's knives, you know, or big choppers or something like that, instead of using, what did I say this was, 3-inch? Instead of using 3-inch C-channel, you know, get the biggest stuff that the salvage yard has. Or, you know, go to the actual steel yard and pay new price for steel if you want to. I mean, get yourself some really wide stuff. And then, you know, I mean, just change it up to make it work the way you need it to. But the only other thing I'll say is probably now that I'm done bending all this out, I might come in and kind of knock off the corners, just so that, you know, they're a little bit easier on the hands. Another nice thing about these is that since they hold all your blades, now when you go to stick these in and out of the toaster, you just grab a corner with your pliers, and you can pick up all of them all at the same time. Set a a brick on your bench top, so if you're doing multiple tempers, you can grab a hold of that whole thing, that whole tray of knives, pull them out of the toaster, set them on that brick, you know, insulate it from your bench top, and then grab another tray of knives and put them into the toaster. You know, it just makes it a whole lot easier to hold on to something that you know, holds them all just the way you want them to. So again, yeah, I mean, what is that, 50 cents or $1 worth of C-channel, and I don't know, I might have 10 minutes into the whole thing, maybe, something like that. And they work really good, and you can make them all different sizes if you want to. Okay, so again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.